Please be seated. The wedding ceremony is about to start. Hi, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to do traditional large altar arrangements for weddings, as well as a low cascading arrangement that can be used either on the wedding party table or at the church. So let's get started. So I have the large urn for the ceremony arrangement already greened in. I greened in with some huckleberry and some plumosas fern and some baby's breath. I like baby's breath sometimes for greening in because it's kind of airy. It covers, but it's still light and airy. I don't want it too densely packed with greenery. So that's why sometimes I'll use a little bit of baby's breath as greenery. And then we're going to go ahead and start with the tall elements. We're going to add in some tall blue delphinium. These are beautiful delphinium. And this is going to set the tallest lines of our arrangement. We have 10 stems of delphinium that we can use for this arrangement. I may end up only using 8 or 9 or 7. You know, it just kind of depends on what it looks like. But I did buy about 10 for this arrangement. It's really nice to learn to do tall arrangements, large arrangements, because you can do it for parties, like on a buffet table, or if you're really having an event like a wedding. Tall arrangements are not that different from just doing a regular centerpiece. You're just using slightly larger material. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stems of delphinium here. Okay. You want to keep count, make sure you don't overfill it with more materials than you have purchased. So what I'm going to show you today is a very standard sort of wedding ceremony arrangement. This is going to go on 2 wine barrels, and it's going to be the main focal point for the wedding ceremony. And definitely this is something you can use on a buffet. We also have columns that we can rent out, but a lot of venues have, in California at least, have wine barrels that they use for ceremonies. Okay. And these echo the centerpieces we did in our first video of the series, where we're doing this real life wedding. So we're doing kind of bright pastels accented with blue. Okay, we've got that delphinium in. Then I'm going to add in hydrangeas. We've budgeted for 6 hydrangeas, 3 blue and 3 green. If you recall, in our first video of the series, we did the centerpieces with the blue and green hydrangeas. So this will look the same, just with more materials. Now for your hydrangeas to last well, definitely make sure you condition it with alum, a little tiny bit of alum, and also make sure you take the foliage off. Okay. These green hydrangeas are packed in cellophane wrap still. And they still have a lot of the greenery on them, so we're going to pull it off. The greenery on your hydrangeas is what saps water from the florets, and you get a lot of wilting. And of course, they're very heat intolerant, so if it's a very, very hot event outdoors, then I would say hydrangeas are going to be iffy. Get a lot of questions asking me about lasting quality of hydrangeas. So because the blue hydrangeas are a little bit shorter, we're going to add them in a little lower in the arrangement. So when I'm doing large arrangements, I kind of think in thirds. I'm dividing up this circle into thirds. Not perfect thirds, but just, you know, so it's just in my mind, I'm just thinking about doing things in thirds. It doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to measure it out. But we're going to do 3 hydrangeas here. See, like we're spacing them out like in the thirds. And then in between two hydrangeas, we're going to add the green ones a little taller. So it's pretty easy, right? Once you get the hang of it. So you've got 3 hydrangeas there. Then we're going to add in the feverfew. We have some feverfew that has still a lot of greenery on it. So we're going to almost use it like a greenery. So there's some imperfect foliage that we're going to pick off. Feverfew invariably will have some not so perfect foliage. Seems to be very sensitive to water damage. And then we're just going to use this to fill in some of the empty spaces that we have here. See, it just looks like extra greenery. I've got 2 kinds of feverfew. We're going to go back in later and fill in with the ones with the more bloomed out florets. But these are like just little bunches of feverfew in this tall length that we're going to use almost as greenery. Okay. Let's see if I have a 3rd stem going here. I bought this because I've not seen feverfew with this much greenery on it and this tall. And I thought, well, this would be really pretty in our tall arrangements. Instead of, you know, buying more leaves, I could use something like this. And they're pretty inexpensive. Okay. All right. Then we're going to go in with our tall spray roses. Once again, we're going to do thirds. I'm going to do 3 stems of the tall spray roses. These tall spray roses are wonderful because what I do is I add it in with the delphinium, so the delphinium is not just sticking up there by itself. And they're so tall, the stems are so long. It's great. So I add 3 up top like this. So that delphinium doesn't look lonely, right? Okay. Make sure it's nice and secure in there. And then we're going to add in our roses. Look at these giant sprays, beautiful sprays of roses. I'm going to add 2 big sprays of this apricot rose. Because it's such a large spray, I'm going to look for where we have kind of a hole, right? There's a hole right there. So that's perfect for adding a large spray. No more hole. Okay. Going to get another big spray and add it to the opposite side. Okay, so we have it over here. I'm going to add in some of these beautiful pink garden-y style roses. Now I'm going to add 3 of them in a cluster for that look of grouping, because in a big arrangement, just 1 rose here or there, unless it's huge, it doesn't show up so much. So I like to add things in third, add like a trio or a grouping of them. Now the apricot spray rose is its own group, right? So we're doing the same here with the pinks. Doing the same on this side here. So we've got another grouping of pinks over here. Then we've got these really, really big pink expression roses. These I'm just going to add in singly because they're so huge. Such a large visual weight to these, right? We don't need to cluster a 3 of them. Put 1 there. 1 here. Okay, we've added in our pink expression roses, very beautiful. And then we're going to add a couple of tall pink expression roses up here. We'll add a tall one here. And then I've got these incredible white O'Hara roses. Remember these when we were processing in our first video? We're going to add some up here. Okay, so add some at the top of your arrangement, and then we're going to add another one down here where we think we have kind of a hole and we need another rose. How about right here? Okay. So we're mostly done. Now we're going to add in a few more stems of the spray roses. I've got 1, 2, 3 more stems of the tall spray roses that I'm going to add in. This time we're going to cut it a little shorter and add it to the lower half of our arrangement. This is more to bring some of that peachy color on this part of the arrangement than anything else. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so we're mostly done. All that's left is just to do a little bit of filler flower in here. Now what we have for filling in our stock. I'm going to add some white to these large ceremony arrangements with stock. Remember these tall white stock in our first video when we were processing? And I said we're going to reserve these tall ones for the ceremony arrangements. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to add some of this up top with the delphinium. The delphinium blue may recede a little bit, so I want to kind of reinforce that line with some white stock, which is a little showier. And it's a little different texture. Just add interest to this. Okay, then we're going to add stock throughout the arrangement. I budgeted for about 7, 8 stems of stock. So we added 3, so we can add 4 or 5 more stems. Okay. Kind of look where you might need another stem of stock. Maybe a little lower here. There we go. See, the stock kind of makes your arrangement look bigger. That's why I love using stock in large arrangements. So it gives you a lot of visual impact, and it's not very expensive, and it's very versatile. Okay. I'm going to add 1 more stock here. And we are done with the stock. Now I'm just going to go in and fill in with a little bit of the feverfew. We have these more fully blooming feverfew. That's going to be a little showier. We're going to go ahead and add that as filler flower in here. The stem is too big, so I'm cutting it into 2 stems. Add a little cluster right here. Gonna add a cluster here. We have a lot of large, heavy-looking flowers, so that's why we have a couple of different kinds of filler. We have the baby's breath, the Million Stars baby's breath, and the feverfew. Add another one of these in there, then we'll be done with the feverfew. Oh, Okay. And I bought some of this tall aster. Wasn't sure if I'm going to use it or not, because I'm not a big fan of aster, but the white was so beautiful. Maybe we could use this. See, like one stem will give you so many little clusters. So I'm just going to cut them all off, because I don't think I'm going to use it as a one giant stem. I see why now flower shops love to buy aster. You do get a lot for your money. It's a pretty inexpensive material. So I'm just going to put a little bit around the perimeter. A little bit of this white poking through kind of lightens up the green. It's not necessary, you know, but I bought it, so I'm just going to go ahead and use it. So I'm just going around the arrangement and poking a little bit here and there in just additional white filler. Wherever you think you have a little bit of a hole or needs a little bit of lighter color, you can go ahead and add that little bit of aster. And we are all done with our large ceremony arrangement. We're going to make a pair of these. The next piece we're going to do is a long, low arrangement for the sweetheart table. So what I have here is a gripper bowl. Gripper bowl is just a plastic low dish that takes 2 pieces of floral foam, and it grips onto the floral foam because it's got little grabbers. And I have it taped down with some water in the reservoir. I don't know if you can see, it's just a low plastic green bowl. And then I've just greened in with an assortment of greenery, baby's breath, and a little bit of the feverfew. And I have the cascading plumoses fern to cascade onto the table. Now the sweetheart table, I'm not sure if it's going to be a round one or a small rectangular one, but this will work for either dimension. And so the main thing is to green in a cascading fashion. It takes a lot of greening in because the foam is somewhat exposed, whereas when you have foam within a container, like even the large arrangements, it takes a lot less greenery. So a lot of the time is spent greening in. And then we're going to go ahead and add elements to it that kind of echoes the large arrangements and the centerpieces. We've budgeted 3 hydrangeas for this arrangement. And this arrangement should be beautiful from both sides, since your bride is going to be looking at one side of it, right? And her guests are going to be looking at the other. And a very important thing, critical in doing low centerpieces like this for the wedding party table or the sweetheart table, is to keep it low. You want to make sure when your bride is seated there, there's not greenery and flowers poking up. You know, she's obscured in photos. This time we're going to cut everything short and sink it deep into the foam. I love hydrangeas. I love this color. It adds like a freshness to this arrangement. And the 2 sides don't have to be identical. Just make sure both sides are beautiful. Okay, got the hydrangeas in. Then we're going to go ahead and add in our roses. These beautiful pink expression roses. I also have the gorgeous apricot spray roses. I'm going to add in the apricot spray roses first. Often what I do with these kind of arrangements is I think of it as a diagonal. So I add things in, not, you know, one on this side, one on this side, one on this side, one on this side. But if I add the apricot roses here this way, I'll add it in on a diagonal on this other side. So you are balancing the colors and the visual weight, but you're not doing, you know, one on each side. You're going to add it on a diagonal. They're just kind of design tricks I've learned over the years. Okay, see, I've added that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add that on the diagonal. And then go ahead and add flowers on top here, because critically you just want a lot of beautiful flowers in sort of the middle part of the arrangement. And the rest of it you can kind of just let it cascade. Don't need to fill it in with roses all the way to the end. It might be too large or heavy looking. Okay, so that we're not going to go much higher than this. I've got 2 beautiful white O'Hara roses. Add it in. I'm adding it in at a diagonal again. Okay. And then let's go ahead and add some spray roses. I have some of this apricot-y, peachy spray rose. It's almost too big. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the end here. And then the extra little stems that I cut off, I'll just tuck it here and there throughout the arrangement. Okay. Go ahead and add a stem on this side too. See how adding things on a diagonal, it just kind of takes the guesswork out of it. So you don't have to like try to figure out how to put things in. But I think it doesn't look as nice if you have it exactly, you know, one here, one here. But see how it's like very balanced, the arrangement, but it's not perfectly symmetrical. Okay. And let's go ahead and add some of our pink roses. These paler pink roses. I think I'll just add a few up here. I keep turning it around so you can see what I'm adding. I have never mastered the art of designing, you know, backwards. Okay, added 2 there. Maybe I'll add some to the ends here. Okay. Okay, so we are done. What's missing in here are the blues, of course. Now these tall delphinium would be too big to go in here. So I still have some of the delphinium we use in the centerpieces from our second video of the series when we're doing this real wedding, the sky blue belladonna, which would be perfect in here. I'm going to go ahead and add some on the ends here. I'm going to take this and put it in the center because I'm going to replace it with one that's not bloomed all the way to the tip yet, because I think that little kind of tapering is prettier on the ends. Then we'll go ahead and use this beautiful one more in the middle. I broke the stem. Now the delphinium, because it's a little taller, you can see from both sides, so we don't have to necessarily do it all on a diagonal. Just add some, just cut it pretty short because we want to see the tips, but we don't want it to, once again, be too tall so that when it's in front of the bride, it's in her face. Such beautiful periwinkle blue colors and sky blue. Just love this. Okay, that's what we have on this side. And let's go ahead and add these guys in. Okay, we're done with the delphinium. The only thing left is to add some stock. You almost don't need it, right? We have a little bit of peach stock. I think I prefer the white. Guess we can add a little bit of white stock in here. We almost don't need it, right? It looks pretty full already to me. But it's always nice to have a different texture. Add just a little bit of the white stock in here. Now I'm doing this the day before the wedding. We're going to put everything in the refrigerator. And this is a very traditional wedding that I'm showing you with very traditional pieces. Like this is definitely something that you can do for an altar as well if you're doing a church wedding. It was very much like an altar arrangement at a church wedding. And now we seem to have mostly sweetheart tables. We rarely have wedding party tables. But in the old days, we had wedding party tables where everybody sat, all the bridesmaids and groomsmen sat together with the bride and groom, right? And then we would often do big arrangements like this for the wedding party table. Okay, I just have a few stems of this white aster to use as filler. I kind of think we don't need it, but I already cut it, so we can go ahead and fill in here and there. Really don't need it. Just give that little daisy filler look. Just wanted to echo our centerpieces somewhat, right? And our bouquets. Wow, that's a lot of flowers. It wasn't too hard, right? These are essential pieces you must know how to do in wedding floral designs. So I hope you learned something today. I hope that you've enjoyed this series. We have one more video to go. In our first video, I took you to the market and we processed flowers. In the second video, we did centerpieces. In the third video, we did bridal bouquets. And today, I hope you learned how to do large ceremony arrangements as well as a low cascading arrangement. As always, please like and subscribe and leave me a comment, and I will see you in my next video where we're actually going to go set up a real wedding.